Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Charles de Lastic and this channel is Developing Extraordinary. It's all about growing your mind, growing your business and growing your wealth. So today's video is the 3 steps to unstoppable mental strength. Way back in 2008, after the financial crisis, my business hit a major problem. In fact, I even considered that there may be a possibility I may even go bankrupt. So at that point, I struggled really badly, and it took me probably about a month to get out of depression and try and move myself forward. And since that time, I've read a lot of books and gone into courses and things like that in an effort to make sure that if I ever faced a serious problem like that again, I would have the mental strength to cope with it. And today's video is around that research and what I found out, because at the moment we're in the middle of this COVID crisis and there are going to be an awful lot of people who are going to face a similar problem, unfortunately. So today's video is around the 3 steps to unstoppable mental strength. So cue the intro. Okay, hi and welcome back. So as I said, today's video is around the 3 steps to unstoppable mental strength. So without further ado, let's get into starting that. So the first step is all around controlling your body. So what do I mean by that and how do you do that? So first of all, you look at your posture. So if you're standing there like this and you're upset, then effectively that is going to affect your mindset. Whereas if you straighten your back, stand back, sit up straight, stand up straight, that very change in posture will make a big difference to your mental well-being and how you think about things, and give you a much more positive outlook. A simple change in posture. Just try it for yourself while you're sitting there now. See the difference it makes to your mindset. So that's point 1. Number 2 is your breath. So what do I mean by that? If you control your breath, you control your mind. That sounds a bit strange, right? But effectively, by taking deep, slow breaths, this has been embedded in many cultures for thousands of years, you activate what's called the parasympathetic system, which just generally calms your mind and enables you to start thinking much more clearly and stop you going into panic mode or anything else that would generate actions that you don't really want to take. So controlling your breath and just taking deep, slow breaths. Now, this is worth practicing, and eventually you can get it down to the fact of 1, 2, maximum 3 deep, slow breaths will bring your mind back, settle you down, and enable you to make sensible decisions without being in panic mode, or even worse still, getting into mental depression. So that's deep breathing. Lastly, health. So your health is one of the only things, to be honest, in life that you have complete control over. I know that may sound a bit of a surprise when we are facing a massive obesity epidemic across the developed world, but if you think about it, you control everything that goes into your mouth, right? It may not feel like it sometimes, and sometimes we haven't got a lot of mindfulness, and therefore we're not watching what we eat. But you do control everything that goes into your mouth. You control when you go to bed. You can, these days with alarm clocks, obviously control when you get up. So it's about having that mental strength to go through those things. So if you can control what you eat, how you exercise, how you sleep, you are controlling your health. And that mind-body connection, good health, will enable you to have much better mental strength. That's the point. Exercise. Exercise releases endorphins. So what are endorphins? Endorphins are things like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin in particular. So serotonin is actually known as the happiness hormone, and its release generally lifts people's moods. This has been very well tried and tested. It is actually also a precursor to melatonin, which helps people sleep. Some people even take melatonin tablets to help them sleep. But if you've released the happiness drug and you are able to sleep better, that's going to give you much more mental strength. Okay, so that's about controlling your body. The next step is obviously controlling your mind and that whole mind-body connection that I talked about earlier. So how do you go about controlling your mind? So the first thing to look into is something called anchoring, which comes from NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. So what exactly is anchoring? Very, very simply, what you do is you think back to a point when you were feeling very, very mentally strong. You put yourself in that position, you strongly visualize it. You see what you see in your mind, you hear what you hear, you smell what you smell, and you feel what you feel. You really embed yourself as much as possible in that situation and bring up that feeling of mental strength. Then once you've brought up that feeling of mental strength, you anchor it. Now, how do you anchor it? You do something unusual. So what I do is I hold that finger and that thumb and I hold it together quite firmly. Now, even now I'm feeling it. You feel that feeling of mental strength because you've anchored it. Then you would do that 2 or 3 times, and ideally you would do that every couple of days as part of mental practice. And just that, eventually when you come to need it, you do that, and that feeling will flood back into your mind because you've anchored the physical action with the mental state. So that's anchoring, and that's really, really powerful for keeping you mentally strong in a point when you need it. So the next one is affirmations. So what are affirmations? Look them up online. A bunch of people put up lots of different affirmations. It's about saying something in the positive mindset and in the present. Something like, I am very, very successful. I don't have any problems. I'm very mentally strong. Those kinds of things force your brain to think that way, because if you think of it in the present moment. So look that up online and how you do that. And once again, get yourself a series of maybe 5 or 6 affirmations that resonate with you and repeat them to yourself in a strong mental state, ideally using your anchoring as well. And that will put you in a stronger mental state so when you actually need it. So those affirmations help. Mantras. So mantras, what are those? So most people wouldn't have come across mantras. This is unusual, but it's something like when the going gets tough, the tough get going. My particular one is always make the hard choice. So when I'm training or whatever like that, and I'm struggling to do those last couple of reps or run that extra 20 meters at full speed, that mental process of make the hard choice moves me forward and drives me through that last line. And again, it's something that you can embed because it focuses your mind on being strong at the time. So mantras, find one of your own that resonates with you, use it on a regular basis. And this is where physical training also helps, because it repeatedly puts in a point where you're feeling uncomfortable, and you can then utilize that feeling of uncomfortableness to say your mantra and drive it through. Another instance is possibly taking cold showers in the morning. Yeah, the first 30 seconds are awful, but you put yourself into a point of uncomfortableness every single day, and therefore that helps you build that mental strength with your mantra in that first 30 seconds when the water is feeling really, really cold. So that's mantras. Then friends and coaches. Quite often people try and do this all on their own. If you're feeling and you're getting into a depressed state, or you're not feeling well around it and you really are feeling down, call a friend. Ideally, if you've got a coach, then better still, they will help you to talk you through it, maybe alter your mindset, reframe certain scenarios. But sometimes just the act of talking to friends and coaches ideally helps you move out of any mental problems and helps you get that mental strength. So it's support from the outside really is what I'm talking about. Don't try and handle it all on your own. Input, what do I mean by input? So you're sitting there watching the TV, don't watch a depressing program. The point of the matter is watch comedies, that kind of thing. Listen to uplifting music. You could even get a playlist on your phone which is all uplifting music that fits you, and if you've got 30, 40, 50 songs that are all uplifting going in the background, it'll just help you with your mindset as you move along. So the input is important, and making sure that you're not moving yourself further into the wrong way. You want to be lifting your mind and not reducing it. Last but not least, there's gratefulness. So basically, if you're in a point where you're struggling, then do this morning, afternoon and evening, where you just think of a couple of things that you're really grateful for. Maybe you've got your health, maybe your house is nice, your children love you. Something like, I haven't got a toothache today. You can be grateful for that. So write down some things that you're grateful for, really visualize it and feel and put yourself in the position of that. And once again, that will help activate serotonin and make you feel mentally strong. So writing down what you're grateful for morning and evening at the very least helps you with your mindset. So that's controlling your mind. Number three is acceptance. So acceptance is deeply steeped in the Buddhist way of life. And if you've ever met Buddhist monks, my meditation teacher for many years is a Buddhist monk, and he has more sense of calmness than anybody I've ever met. He just literally exudes it, and acceptance is one of the big things in Buddhism. So how do you go about acceptance? So effectively, you're looking at reality. It's like not accepting things. It's like lying on the ground, looking up at the clouds and wishing the clouds were a different shape. Well, that's ridiculous, right? And you would see that as ridiculous. However, in our lives, things happen and we wish they were different. Well, wishing they were different doesn't change anything. Whereas if you simply accept what is and put yourself into that position of accepting what is, then that gives you the starting foundation from which to move forward. So acceptance is not resignation. That's not the same as giving up. It's just saying this is the situation, not necessarily saying that I can't do anything about it. In actuality, once you've accepted the situation, you know the reality and you face the reality, that gives you more power to move forward, and you ask, what can I now do about this, from a state of knowing the reality and being at peace with the reality. So it's not resignation, it's not giving up, it's just accepting reality and then moving forward. And one of the ways of, once you've realised that it's not resignation, you move into what, not why. So quite often when people get into mental problems, they keep going, and it keeps running around in their head, oh, why this, why that, why the other. Really, that's the world and that's the universe. If you've gone into acceptance, you don't need to know why. You just know that it is. And therefore, you then focus on the what. What can I do about it? What actions can I take? And therefore, focusing on the what and not the why is another very, very strong methodology for building a strong mental mind. So doing those three things, controlling your body, controlling your mind, and acceptance are three great steps towards unstoppable mental strength. And in actuality, without those three steps, it's probably very, very difficult to achieve it. So thanks very much for listening. If you've enjoyed that video, please give us a like down below. I will be doing a further video around this subject, and that will come out soon. But if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you enjoyed the type of things that I talk about, then subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and goodbye for now. Thank you.